Hi, my name is Amy Vela. I'm 44 years old. I reside in San Antonio, Texas. However, I am from the Rio Grande Valley. I was diagnosed with epilepsy at 2 weeks shy of my 11th birthday. With that being said, it was one crazy school year. However, it all started when in the summer we went to a family party at a park in the valley, and from there, it being summer, we went and we crossed the border to go to a function over there. Um, from there, we spent the whole afternoon, did what I've always done since I was a child, going across the border, eat, um, have a soft drink, eat more and play. However, this time was a little different. As we were walking to the car, as the night had already come, we got into the car, got to the back seat. I fell asleep. And I remember picking up my head, opening my eyes, and when I looked up, I just saw the post lights. So what I was seeing was the post lights and the lights, as the car was moving, the lights were going by. What I realized was that the lights were blurred. So at 10 years old, I didn't think much of it because A, I was 10, and B, I was pretty much more asleep than awake. So I didn't put any stock on it. Then what happened was we get home and we're doing our thing, doing our nightly ritual, putting things away, taking turns, getting in the shower, all this other stuff, getting ready for bed. And I remember going in to the bathroom so I can shower for the night. And I remember looking at my stomach, and my stomach was really bloated. Similar to you have a procedure or surgery or something, and you have the gases. So that's what my stomach looked like. Again, pay no attention to it, get in the shower, and so I'm bathing, and then I realized that when I looked up, things were kind of spinning. Again, keep doing my thing. I get out of the bathtub, and the bathroom is spinning. My stomach's still bloated, my bathroom's spinning. So again, I'm only 10, and I am sort of kind of thinking, okay, so maybe I just need to sleep, I need to rest or something. So next thing is I'm by the washer and I'm hollering at my mother, and I keep saying goodnight to her. She says goodnight. We do that back and forth about maybe 2 or 3 times. When that happens, then the last time I said goodnight, and she says to me, enough, go to bed. And I said good, and then it was lights out for me. That's it. The next thing I remember is opening my eyes, and I'm at the hospital, and I have all these lights around me, and I have all these white coats around me. And my father's at the foot of my bed, my mother's next to me, and first thing I said to her, I turned and looked at her, and all I could say, very, very vague, or very, very like with a deep breath, was, I think I'm going to throw up. So the nurse gets a trash can, and I lean over, my mom helps me, and I throw up. And everything that's in the throw up is everything I had eaten the night before when we were when we were across the border. So everything that I had eaten the night before is what came out. So I closed my eyes, and then that was it. But what happened was that when I first opened my eyes, I could see that my stomach was bloated. Again, the whole thing with my stomach being bloated. I couldn't even see my feet. So then time passes by, that evening or that morning progresses, and after a while, the white coats are coming in and out. And then finally we're told, that it was a case of food poisoning because of everything that had come up. Well, for the next few months, it was seizure after seizure after seizure. We were known by first name basis at the ER, and we weren't given much of anything. It was, if she has a fever, just give her some Tylenol, just a very basic assistance rather that my parents were given. In any case, months went by, and if I didn't have a seizure one day or one night, it was a feeling of being happy because my body was taking a toll. I had lost a tremendous amount of weight, and there are so many things that were actually being taken into consideration. The fact that I was going to be 11, but also the whole transitioning, maybe, okay, she's 11, maybe hormones, and she's growing, she's maturing, all these other things. Plus, aside the fact that I had moved from one school district to another, so then many things were popping up as anxiety, or she's nervous, or she's just, it's just the being acclimated with her new environment. Most of the time it was my parents that were with me because my seizures pretty much happened at night. So I was relating nighttime with my seizures. So then I got a case of insomnia because I became afraid of the dark, because I knew sunset was coming, and after that, then that meant me having to go to bed, and that's when the seizures would come. So that's who noticed my seizures, really. As to how I was feeling, the very first seizure I had, I didn't feel anything. It was just the lights out. I will say, though, that my very first seizure, I went face first. I had a loose tooth, and we never found that loose tooth. So when my seizures are going to happen, I feel an aura, my mouth starts to salivate, my hands, my palms get clammy, and my breathing is affected. And I start feeling a little nervous, and my hearing becomes very keen. I hear every little thing. And that's one of the things, or those are some of the things that I am able to utilize to make me understand, or to make me know that, okay, a seizure is kind of hovering over me. Through the years, I've been able to manage them in the sense of breathing exercises, just relaxing, finding my okay space or my okay area where I can just kind of collect my thoughts and just regain my composure. These seizures have always been grand mal seizures, so those are the really violent type of seizures, if we may. And with that being said, my last seizure was in January of 2013. So as a doctor put it to me years ago, Amy, your seizures are so spaced out as opposed to when you were a child. Yours are so spaced out because you have great control over them. So that's the good thing. However, going back to my seizures, we tried various medications after the diagnosis came. We tried various medications, and my diagnosis came after a failed CAT CT scan. My EEG is what gave us a diagnosis of epilepsy. Years went by with just one medication, and then I got older and doctors painted the pretty picture of, well, the medication you've been taking for so long is causing these side effects. Why don't you try this? Let's try a different one. So all in all, I've tried, I think, maybe 3 medications in total, and I always went back to the first one. And I'm a firm believer of, if it doesn't need any fixing, then don't fix it. The first one has been the magic one for me, or the one for me is the one that's worked wonders for me. So that's what I've always gone to. As for my support system was always my parents, family, and now of course my husband and my extended family. However, I give my parents a lot of credit, especially really my mother, because she was the one who was adamant when we were told that I was not going to be independent. I was going to be dependent on other people. I was not going to be able to live a fulfilled life, that she was going to have to institutionalize me, or she was going to have to send me away. But because of her tenacity, to not do that, because as her only child, she chose to keep me home. She chose to stick me with a regimen, meaning diet, exercise, healthy activity. And she chose to make sure that I just lived a life like every other kid, like every other teenager. Go to school, you know, have to study for tests, fail a test if maybe, want to try something, go ahead and try it out, maybe not make it. Competition, you know the ups and downs of making it, of not making it, as well as being a participant in many things. So because of her willingness to not give up is why I was able to do the many things that so many people, especially the medical community, had already scratched me off for. The Epilepsy Foundation of Central and South Texas, I heard about the program through a gentleman who had just had the experience of having to care for his wife because she had surgery. She had been diagnosed with epilepsy at an older age. And so he asked me if I knew about the Epilepsy Foundation, and I said yes. And he asked if I had ever been to a support group meeting, and I said no, that I'd never been. And so he's the one who extended the invite on behalf of his wife. So I attended the meeting with the expectation of just going for a support group meeting, but thinking, I wonder if there's anybody else out there like me who has all these diet restrictions, but who has to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And sure enough, lo and behold, when I went to the support group meeting, everyone had already been there for a while, so they all knew one another. I was the newbie, if we may, so I was the one introducing myself. And then I shared out about my journey up until that point. And then a young lady who was probably about 5-6 years younger than me and her mother were present. And they shared with me that they were surprised that there was somebody else out there that was doing the exact same thing they were doing, the diet restrictions and the maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So at the end of the day, or at the end of the meeting, I was just overwhelmed with joy, because at least now I could say, okay, it's not just me. It's not an Amy thing. It's actually a thing. Especially because having 4 other relatives who do have epilepsy, but we're all so different, at times it did make me feel kind of, okay, so why can they do whatever or everything under the sun, but yet I have all these restrictions? So no, it did make sense to me at that time, or now that I'm older, it does make more sense, because just because we all have epilepsy, I'm talking about my family members, just because we have epilepsy doesn't mean that we're all treated the same in the sense of treatment wise. We all have different symptoms, and we all react differently. For example, I have the grand mal seizures. So obviously when I met that young lady, it was kind of a big wow moment for me, because I was finally able to say, yes, there is somebody else outside or other than me that is doing all of that is doing what I'm doing, the diet restrictions. As for participating in anything aside from support groups, I have done walks in the San Antonio area, and I like to do them only because of all the thrills and frills of it, and the sense of community that is in those walks. My advice to someone that has had a recent diagnosis with epilepsy is to not let epilepsy define who you are. Don't allow epilepsy to dictate your life. You be you, you do you, live your life to the fullest. But another thing also is, don't wait. Don't let others do for you, or don't wait for other people to do for you. You need to do for yourself, and you need to be your voice. So Don't wait around for other people to do for you. You do for you.